How's it going, guys? My name is Jake, and in this video, we're gonna be going over the 5 mistakes that beginners make when just getting started with credit cards. With so many credit cards out there, it can be really difficult to decide which one to go for. So I wanna share some of the mistakes that I've personally made or have seen others make when just getting started with credit cards. Let's get started with the video with mistake number 1, signing up for a random credit card through the mail and not reading the terms and conditions. I find it very common that beginners know that they should get started, so they just fill out something random in the mail. They know that they need to get a card and they think that any card will do, but this is not the case. Credit card companies know this and they target individuals they believe to be most likely to sign up for their credit card, and they know that these people are not actually looking at the fundamentals of the card itself. There's tons of bad card offers that come in the mail, especially if you have low credit or no credit, which many beginners have starting out. One of the predatory companies that does this is called Credit One. They mail tons of offers to people that they believe will sign up for their card, knowing that these individuals are just gonna sign up anyway. With just a quick search online, you can easily see that there are awesome beginner credit cards to get started with, like the Discover It card or the Chase Freedom Unlimited, that are much better than the Credit One cards. I'll get into that in just a sec. So these cards are bad because they have tons of hidden fees, usually an annual fee with no extra added benefits, and they just overall feel very predatory. For example, that Credit One card that I just showed you a minute ago has an annual fee of $39, but only 1% back on everything. The targeting is so bad that these companies have even set up a complete workflow to get you in the door. Take a look here at the Credit One website. You can see on the right, they literally have an accept mail offer button, and if you click on this, you can fill out the details that you got in your letter to easily accelerate your offer. These terrible cards are imitating bigger banks. Like, take a look at the card, it looks like Capital One, and they don't really offer any good benefits and perks. So with these terrible cards out of the way, this leads me into the next mistake, which can actually be not starting at all. So mistake number 2, waiting to get a credit card and not getting started. With such a limited education on credit cards and personal finance, many people grow up knowing that there's dangers of credit cards and are just so reluctant to sign up because of this. They're taught credit cards are bad and that they should be used to buy things that you can pay later instead of actually build your credit and pay it off in full, normalizing people going into debt. When I was just getting started into credit cards, guys, I saw how complex they were, and this kind of scared me off. So I totally understand how beginners don't want to use their credit card right away. There's so many different ways that credit card companies can charge you, whether it's from interest payments, late fees, or annual fees, just to name a few. Even if you do a little bit of education online, there's tons of people talking about how credit cards are still bad, and they spread the idea that credit cards equal debt, which equals take over your life. And so beginners tend to not apply after hearing this. I can assure you that getting started with credit cards is worth it. Learning good core habits and being patient along the way can be very rewarding later in your credit journey. And being patient is such a hard thing to do, as I have made that mistake before, which leads me into mistake number 3, and that is applying for too many cards at once. So once beginners get started, they tend to see the awesome credit cards that are next in line. And when I had my Discover card, I wanted that Sapphire Preferred so bad, and I got it a little too early. Often, beginners realize that their credit card they have now is not as good as the next one could be, so they go ahead and apply for that too soon or even at the same time. Understand that the hard inquiries can stack up, drop your score, and they do stay on there for like 2 years. This can be a tricky stage in the credit card journey because beginners often don't know exactly how to use their credit card perfectly or even get all the rewards out of it. So adding complexity into this mix can make things even more challenging to deal with. Beginners might not have the full skill set to understand which cards should pay for what, and they may lose out on maximum benefits and rewards. I'm not saying that if you're a beginner, you're not gonna know exactly which card pays for what, because you can look at it online, but when you have up to 5 cards or more, it can be a little challenging to remember exactly which each card does, and if you don't write it down or figure out another way to remember, that organization kind of takes skill and it's kind of hard to learn really quick. So while upgrading to a better card may be a good thing, sometimes for beginners, it might just not be worth it right away, especially if you make this next mistake which is changing your spending habits to hit bonuses. Now, before I get into spending habits and how beginners can struggle with this, if you're enjoying the video, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me grow this channel and it's much appreciated. So as you guys know, one of the highest return on spend is getting a sign-up bonus from a credit card. So if you have to go out of your way to spend on something that you wouldn't spend on anyway with that credit card, then it just doesn't really make sense because you're not going to be making a positive return on investment with the benefits. Let's say, for example, a credit card has a $4,000 minimum spend requirement in 3 months to get that sign-up bonus. You're going to have to spend $1,333 each month on regular stuff to hit that $4,000. Now, unless you have something else planned that may help with that $4,000 spend requirement, such as getting new furniture, taking a trip you planned, or buying some jewelry, then maybe it would be easier to go ahead and hit that. But for regular expenses, $1,300 can be a lot to spend each month for beginners. For example, my spending is only around $600 each month, which is less than half of that sign-up bonus. So if I were to go for a card like this, I have to have something planned for a one-time payment, such as furniture or whatever I said earlier. So the key mistake here is that beginners go out of their way to buy things on Amazon, buy some clothes, and if you're using cash, you probably wouldn't have made that decision in the first place. So in order to get a card of this tier, you need to know your spending habits and track it each month, because then it'll be easier for you to see what you spend. And then if you have to make a one-time payment for something else that you can already plan, just plan it around a credit card bonus to hit that $4,000 spend. Also, it is a lot easier to hit credit card bonuses when you live alone. Trust me, I have more bills and I understand this now. Just utility bills and stuff. So the last key mistake that I see, guys, is not smashing that like button, just like Graham Stephan. I'm just kidding. So the last mistake's actually getting a credit card and then using your debit card instead. Getting the fundamentals down, like paying your card off in full, on time, and not using debit card or cash to pay for anything is critical when you're just starting out with credit cards. So often I would recommend a card to a friend just to see them use it a few times, not understand what's going on, and then just throw it into a drawer. They would just go back to using their debit card or cash because of the confusion that comes with credit cards. I can understand why someone would use cash at like a small business or something, but there's no reason to use your debit card. And I think I'm gonna make an explanation video on why. It's too long for me to explain now, but it's not a good idea. Basically, debit cards and cash don't give you that protection and other warranty benefits that have to do with using a credit card to spend. Also, there's fraud protection, which you're liable if you use a debit card or cash, but not with a credit card. Also, you're not gonna be building your credit score, which you're gonna need that eventually. And if you wanna buy a house or a car, it can be very helpful to start out with a credit card. So when I see a beginner get a card, I've actually seen the card just come unactivated and get tossed right into a drawer. I made this mistake with my very first card, and I want to see others not make it. So credit cards can feel predatory. There's so many of them out there, and ultimately it just seems really scary to get started. But I want to inform you, it'll be okay if you just start slow and work your way up and learn as you go. So feeling that societal pressure to start and overcome the fear of using credit cards can be really difficult. I want to let you guys know that most people do start off at the beginning and then work their way up the credit card ladder, and you can't just jump right up there. Everything takes time and patience, and I want to say it will pay off. If you're curious to see where I started in credit cards and how I got to what I have now, go ahead and click on this video here. Have a good day. Take it easy.